And where the Allegheny and Monongahela come together and form the confluence of the Ohio sits Three Rivers Stadium, where tonight two Eastern Division rivals in the National League, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates, meet on Tuesday Night Baseball. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Zabriskie, and along with Tommy Hutton, we welcome you to Game 1 of our Tuesday night doubleheader here on ESPN. Pittsburgh Pirates in first place. They are doing it despite the fact that Doug Drabek, who won the Cy Young Award last year, has had a terrible start. But I guess you have to look to the rest of the staff, Tommy, for the success.
Well, the rest of the staff that you look at are the left-handers. The southpaws for the Pirates have really been amazing. Zane Smith, who started last year with the Montreal Expos, once he became a bucko, he was fantastic. He's continued that this year. Randy Tomlin started last year in Double-A. Look at what he's done so far this year after a strong finish last year. John Smiley, who goes tonight, he spent a month and a half on the DL last year with a broken hand. He's just happy to be pitching, and he's pitching well.
Those three guys have combined 13-3 this year. As far as the Cardinals are concerned, under new manager Joe Torre, they've gone with the youth look, and what a difference it's made. A year ago, the Cardinals in last place, 6 back of the Pirates, and today in third, just 2.5, and only a half game behind the Mets in second place. All right. So I guess it's the kids that are doing it.
Oh, you bet. Gone are the Colemans, McGees, and Pendletons. On the scene for the Cardinals, Gilkey, Langford, and Felix Jose. They have been fantastic. That's why Joe Torre has his ball club playing so well.
Now here's the starting lineup in the batting order for the visiting St. Louis Cardinals this evening. Leading off the center fielder, Ray Langford. Batting second, and having a great year, hitting over 300, Ozzie Smith. Rookie Bernard Gilkey bats third in left field. Pedro Guerrero at first base, batting fourth. Felix Jose having a great year, hitting fifth. Todd Zeal now playing third and batting sixth. Tom Pagnozzi will do the catching, hitting seventh. Chaito Jose Oquendo will be at second base, batting eighth, and of course batting ninth, the pitcher Jamie Moyer. And one of those left-handers for the Pirates, John Smiley, will be facing that lineup.
Behind the plate, calling the pitches for John Smiley, and veteran Don Slaught will do the catching for Jim Leland of the Pittsburgh Pirates. The rest of the infield for the Bucks here in Pittsburgh looks like this. Bobby Bonilla highlighted. This will be his 11th start as a third baseman. Jay Bell, Jose Lean, and Gary Reedus. In the outfield, Bonds, Van Slyke, newcomer Mitch Webster, just recently acquired from the Cleveland Indians. Mitch adds that bench player, fills a good role for Jim Leland. He kind of lacked that early in the year.
The Kansas Comet, Mitch Webster, still runs very well. Here's a guy who runs pretty well too. Ray Langford leading off for the Cardinals, hitting .250, no homers and 8 RBI. And a strike from Smiley with a fastball. Smiley, 5-1, has only given up 1 home run in 40 2/3 innings. Tied for the lead in the National League in that department. Fouled away, strike 2.
Well, it's the type of combination then you don't look for the long ball, because the St. Louis Cardinals, obviously, yes, they play their home games at the spacious stadium in St. Louis, and so here's a good matchup. Ball club that doesn't hit a lot of home runs and a pitcher who doesn't allow too many.
So it would be an upset if we see one from the Cardinals tonight. 1-2, even though this park, Three Rivers Stadium, a little easier to hit home runs in.
A little easier than Busch Stadium.
Two and two.
One thing we can really zero in on in John Smiley tonight, he's a fastball changeup pitcher. That last pitch, a curveball. He'll throw a few of those, especially against the left-handers. But if he has his changeup working, could see it 2 or 3 times in a row. He's not afraid to do that.
A fastball fouled away to make it still 2-2. And a symmetrical ballpark here in Pittsburgh. Very similar in design to Riverfront in Cincinnati and Busch Stadium in St. Louis. But the dimensions are a little different than in St. Louis.
And even Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia.
It's true. They're very similar. And Philadelphia and Pittsburgh very similar in size. Bobby Bonilla with a good play, and he gets the speedy answer for out number 1.
What a great attitude Bobby Bonilla has to this game of baseball. Here's a guy who probably could complain a little bit, shifting from outfield to third to outfield. But it hasn't affected his hitting this year. He's well over 300. And they say in the 10 games that he's played at third base this year, he's fielded very well.
He's only made 1 error so far, as a matter of fact. Here's the Wizard, Ozzie Smith, hitting .304 with 13 RBIs. so far, and at the age of 36, not only doing it offensively so far this year, but still showing no signs of slowing down in the field. He misses the high pitch, 1-1.
See, a lot of guys, when they lose a step, it's easily detected. You know, they gain a few pounds, or you can pick it up. Even if Ozzie has lost a step in the field, you can't pick it out.
No. You can see there that he's had a lot of success against Smiley, hitting over 400 for his career. Oswald in his 10th season with the Cardinals. That's going to be out of play down the right field line, and the count will go to 2-2.
You know, it's really funny. Over his career as a right-handed hitter, he's probably been a better hitter, but he's worked so hard as a left-handed hitter that this year he's about 100 points better from the left side.
Slapped it to first base. Reedus takes a funny hop and pitches it to Smiley, not in time. Ozzie Smith beats it out, and Reedus looked a little undecided as to whether to go himself or not, and by the time he pitched it to Smiley, Smith beat Smiley to the bag.
Well, there was the problem, flipping it to Smiley. Reedus has to take that ball himself with his kind of speed, and that looked like an out. Looked like the Cardinals got the benefit of that call from first base umpire Mark Hirschbeck, but where was that step that we were talking about that Ozzie lost? He didn't show it there.
No, he was blowing down that line. It did appear as if Smiley beat him on a bang-bang play, but he's called safe. So it's an infield hit, and Bernard Gilkey, the rookie left fielder, stands in.
But getting back to that, Reedus, once he even takes that step back to field a grounder, he's quick enough, Reedus himself, that he has to take that himself and beat Ozzie Smith to the bag.
Smiley almost threw it away as Reedus got the in-between hop.
Especially knowing that you have a left-handed pitcher on the mound, it takes him a little bit longer to get over to first base. But Smiley got there.
Yep, Ozzie was out, but he's not out. Gilkey hitting .252, 3 homers and 9 RBIs. He's tied with Guerrero for the team lead with those 3 dingers. And Smiley will keep Ozzie close. Ozzie Smith leads the Cardinals in stolen bases with 10.
Yeah, there's that step he lost.
He's really going to pot, isn't he? Slowing down. He's got a big lead, too. Not going. And pitch a ball.
That's the thing about Ozzie. He has always had such a good percentage of steals, and he gets a great lead because he has such quick reflexes. He always has that 1 foot on the turf, and sometimes I've seen him with both feet on the AstroTurf, off the dirt.
Still able to get back to first.
Talk about experience, Steve, with this young outfield that we were zeroing in on in the opening with Gilkey and Langford and Felix Jose. Great experience for these young guys to get the opportunity to play every day on a ball club.
They're all doing well. Popped up in foul territory. Reedus stays with it. Out number 2 as Ozzie will remain at first. Jose leans to trying to sneak in.
Batting fourth, first baseman, number 28, Pedro Guerrero.
Cardinals love Busch Stadium. They are first in the National League as far as home batting averages are concerned. Meanwhile, the Pirates are last in the National League in home batting average, hitting only .228 here at Three Rivers, and you can see they're each doing pretty well on the road.
Well, how about the 2 teams that are tied in the National League for batting average? Number 1, the Atlanta Braves, and the St. Louis Cardinals. .263 team batting average.
Just about everybody on the Cardinals hitting the ball well, including Pedro Guerrero at .299. Smith draws another throw in the dirt.
Good pick by Gary Reedus. I think one of the reasons for the Cardinals with that good team batting average at home is because of the type of players they have playing in Busch Stadium. Not the home run hitting ball club. Joe Torre knows his personnel, so he wants them to hit those line drives.
He also knows that ballpark as he was playing for the Cardinals when it opened. And he hit 363 there one year. of play. And Guerrero, strike one. This is about as I'll get it out sooner or later. You know, you can't buy these teeth in the drugstore. You have to have them professionally fitted. No wind, relatively low humidity, and 67 degrees at game time. It was about 80 here today, and what little clouds there were earlier in the day have gone bye-bye. I mean, it is really nice. Check swing foul. 0-2.
And it's unfortunate on this beautiful night here in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, the attention of the Pittsburgh area fan is to the Penguins tonight as opposed to the Pirates.
The Penguins sell out the hockey games here in Pittsburgh, and they are in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in I don't know how many years. Penguins in years past have had a hard time, some years even making the playoffs, let alone getting to the final.
Ozzie getting a good read on Smiley, because once the count now, especially 0-2, Smiley ahead to Guerrero. The time a pitcher will try to make his pitch, maybe bounce one. So Ozzie could be thinking about taking off on this 0-2.
He's not going, however, and it's a fastball high. Ozzie that time had an even bigger lead. He almost had that left foot out on the carpet. 1-2 to Guerrero with 2 out, and Smith at first. He'll edge off a little more as Smiley comes set. And he's going, and Smiley hasn't picked off. Reedus running in towards second, leaned running him back, and Smiley will tag him out. It'll go as a caught stealing. No score in the first. On a lovely evening in Pittsburgh. And as we go to the bottom half of the first inning, here's the batting order for the hometown Buccos. First baseman Gary Reedus leads it off. Shortstop Jay Bell will bat second. Slick will be in center field as usual. Andy Van Slyke batting third. Bobby Bonilla will be at third base, batting fourth. Barry Bonds in left field as usual, hitting fifth. Mitch Webster, newly acquired, in right field. Don Slaught will do the catching. Chico Jose leaned at second base, and of course batting ninth, the pitcher John Smiley. And the well-traveled Jamie Moyer, who came to spring training with the Cardinals as a non-roster player and was 3-0 in the spring and made the ball club, starting tonight and still looking for his first win.
And there's his battery mate, Tom Pagnazzi, who has in his career tossed out about 40% of the runners that try to steal against him. Pedro Guerrero, Jose Oquendo made just 3 errors last year for the Cardinals. Ozzie Smith and Todd Zeal field. There's that young outfield. Could be one of the best as far as youngsters are concerned. Gilkey Langford and Felix Jose.
It's hitting just 197, no homers, 2 RBIs. Gary looked like he was going to shorten up on the bat a little. Took the ball. Strike 1-1.
Jim Leland has a situation with Gary Reedus, the veteran. Orlando Merced, the youngster who's been playing extremely well. Merced's a switch hitter, but he's been hitting a lot better left-handed. So until he proves he can hit a little better from the right side, Reedus will be in there at first base against the left-handed. But if Merced continues, look for him later in the season to be in there on an everyday basis.
That's what the Pirates would prefer, obviously, over the long haul.
Because it also then that enhances the bench. Now you have Reedus coming off the bench.
And he chases a bad one. That's been part of Gary's problem, is not being very selective. And in a leadoff hitter, you obviously need to be a lot more selective.
And this is what a hitter has to look for from Jamie Moyer. That was a big curveball. He throws a fastball along with the curve, a change. He's even working on a forkball. And he knows what he has. He knows what he takes out there. He said, when you have the kind of stuff I have, you have to keep the hitters off balance.
Jay Bell has been hot lately. His average up to 242 after a slow start. He's hit .368 in his last 11 games and .429 over the last 6. Off-speed pitch for a strike. There's Jim Leland. And what a job he has done. You talk to anybody on the ball club, and they just love playing for the guy.
Okay, he's been able to help that bench a little bit. It was a sore subject with him in spring training, with the loss of Backman, Sid Green, with Lloyd McClendon, Curtis Wilkerson, guys like this, all of a sudden doing a job for him.
Foul out of play, and count goes to 2-2. Well, there never has been a team win the whole thing, especially the World Series, and become world champions, on which all of the guys on the roster did not in some way contribute. You've got to have 24, 25 guys who really make a contribution before you're going to win it. And that's going to be out of play down the right field line, still 2-2.
Well, one of those that really stands out when you're talking about that type of player is the guy at the plate, Jay Bell. He's the guy that'll give Moyer trouble because he just tries to put the ball in play. Everybody's so concerned about all his sacrifice bunts, they forget that every once in a while he can hurt you with a long ball or a key base hit.
Foul. Jay Bell is what you might call well-rounded offensively. Not spectacular.
Hey, he's hitting .400 with men in scoring position.
That's contributing.
That's key.
Yeah. That'll pass. Just by Moyer, but there's the wizard. And Ozzie turns it into an easy play for out number 2.
I'll tell you what, we're looking tonight at probably the two clubs that have the most solid men up the middle. Ozzie Smith, Jose Oquendo for the Cardinals, Jay Bell who covers some ground, and Jose Lean for the Pirates. But Ozzie Smith just has so much knowledge, all his experience, where to play the hitters, and then he can fill up that hole fast as anybody.
He is continually rather amazing. Andy Van Slyke struggling, and he thought about squaring, but took inside, ball 1. Van Slyke hitting just .205. And here at Three Rivers, in his last 35 at-bats here in Three Rivers, he's only had 2 hits. Big curveball for a strike. 1-1.
Just to show you, even though that batting average at home is low, to show you how he keeps his sense of humor, I asked him what part of his stroke is giving him the most trouble. He said chipping.
Well, he hit that ball solidly, but Moyer made a good play, and when you're not going well, things don't go well. Pirates go in order in the first. And Felix Jose leading the National League in 2 base hits. Bobby Bonilla second.
There's some good hitters in that group, huh?
Base hit left field just by Jay Bell. You know, I think that's a good mark of a good hitter. I think more often than not, your better hitters are up there among the doubles leaders.
Batting 6th, third baseman.
I tell you, a switch hitter, Felix Jose, can swing just like that from either side of the plate. He's an exciting player, and it was a tough situation for the Oakland Athletics with the supply of pop they have to unload Felix Jose, but they wanted to get Willie McGee, and the Cardinals have him now.
Todd Zeile, who's also having a fine year, now playing third base. He takes a strike, hitting .322, 2 homers and 19 RBIs, and he's on a 5-game hitting streak over which he's hit .563. No wonder the Cardinals are only 2.5 out. They have had some serious offense from the middle part of their order.
Yeah, and I think that's been their biggest surprise. No one expected that type of offense from this young club.
Good fastball in a good location. 0-2. Smiley has had a complete game this year. It was a shutout. With a record of 5-1. There goes Jose, and Smiley's got him picked off. Down to Jay Bell for the out. Left-handers are traditionally tougher to gauge and run against than right-handers. Some left-handers don't have good moves. Smiley does.
Yes, he does. And right here, Jose just guessing. As soon as Smiley moved, he took off. there's the situation where the runner just keeps going. We saw Ozzie Smith getting in the rundown. This time Jose elected to just keep going, make Reedus make a perfect throw, which he did, and Jose nailed at second base. So they're going to keep trying this till they figure it out.
Well, the Cardinals have now attempted 71 stolen bases as a team already this year. They've been successful on 46 of those attempts, but they're 0 for 2 tonight, and the count to Zeal now 1-2. Out of play. Still a ball and 2 strikes.
I think one of the factors with Todd Zeal, why he's been so comfortable and kept his average above 300, he's starting to feel relaxed at third base. He's only made 1 error in the last 27 ball games. He knows what it's like to make that transition.
Yeah, Joe went from behind the plate to third base.
I'm a firm believer, though, in the quickness of feet for infielders. I think anybody that has success as a good infielder has quickness in feet. Catchers have to have that as well, making throws to second, so that helps Zeal in the transition.
Foul back, still 2-2.
So much is talked about infielders and their hands, their range, but in order to put all that together, you have to have good movement, quick movement in your feet.
Popped up, short right field. Jose leaned, backpedaling, and here comes Mitch Webster, who calls him off. And the inning is over. 1 hit, but nobody left. Still no score. Tonight, a good one. San Francisco and Cincinnati, and some offensive pop there. Boy, John Morris, what a year he's had. Leading the National League in hitting. Hal Morris. John Morris used to play for the Cardinals. We are doing a Cardinals game. And Bobby Bonilla batting for the first time as the Pirates win in order in the first. Bonilla hitting .315, and the off-speed pitch just foul. Boy, oh boy, that was close.
Close, but third base umpire Jerry Lane made it look like he makes that call all the time. And no argument from the Pirate bench. They have a good angle at that ball, so if they thought that ball was fair at all, we would have seen a little something. Of course, Jimmy Leland got a little hot the other day and ended up getting ejected from a ball game in Atlanta.
Yeah.
He and Jay Bell.
Breaking ball, grounded to short. Ozzie gets the high hop. 1 away.
There's a guy who, in the decade of the 80s, just took the Gold Glove home.
And no one else got one from the National League at shortstop during the 80s. Ozzie had to add a room on.
And no errors this year so far.
It's just amazing. Barry Bonds, the hitter, and BB is struggling big time. 182. 2 homers and 16 RBI. Little high and tight ball 2. He has only had 1 extra base hit in his last 19 games. On the inside corner, 2-1. What a difference a year makes. Through the same date.
And one of the biggest differences, you saw the home run total with the extra base hits, as you mentioned, the production from the hitting.
He doesn't have an extra base hit here at home in 16 games played. Well, he may now. Deep to right center field and gone. Bonds' 3rd home run of the year, and all 3 have been against left-handed pitchers.
Well, last year of his 33 home runs, 17 against left-handers. And sometimes it'll take a lefty to get a left-handed hitter going in the right direction. You have a tendency to wait a little bit longer, be a little more patient. And patient and power right there in the Barry Bonds swing.
1-0 Pittsburgh in the 2nd inning, and Mitch Webster, the hitter, hitting .250 since coming over to the Pirates from the American League. And Mitch told me this afternoon he feels like he's come home. He lays down a bunt that's foul.
You know, there's one thing, Steve, that Milt May, the hitting instructor with the Pirates, told me about Barry Bonds. He said if there's one thing that he's had trouble with is the back leg breaking down a little too soon, losing the power. That time you saw good turns, some good pivot, and really generating the powerful swing, even though he does choke up about an inch on the bat.
That ball carried close to 400 feet. Webster saying that he really prefers the National League and playing on artificial turf, which a lot of players don't like. Big curveball for a strike. 1-2. But this guy could turn out to be a very valuable addition, because he can do a lot of things. He can play center if he has to. 2-2.
Well, even in his brief stay in a Pirate uniform, he's played all three outfield positions. And you wouldn't even hesitate to put him at first base if you needed.
Switch hits, runs well, makes contact. That's high.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that really does fit into the mold of Jim Leland's ball club. And his playing time will diminish when Jeff King comes back. King will go back at third base, and then Bonilla will go to the outfield. But they'll always have Webster ready for any of those other roles.
And he walks. Let's get an update from John.
Interesting play. Yankees and Indians. Bull Allred at the plate. Down to Don Mattingly. He removes the force and fires down to Espinosa. The tag, not in time. Mark Lewis is called safe, but then he walks off the bag, thinking he was out on the force, tagged out by Espinosa. That will get you fined in the Kangaroo Court. Back to you.
You're not kidding.
Oh, boy.
Take nothing for granted. How many times do you hear it, and how many times do you see the opposite take place on
Hey,
the field?
young players, when you do that slide, make sure you look at the umpire. Find out the call from the umpire before you leave the bag.
Don Slott, the hitter, out of play. Webster at first, one out, and a run in on Bond's solo home run. 1-0 Pittsburgh in the second inning. Sluggo, as they call him, has not slugged one this year. He's had 10 RBIs, but no homers. Broken bat roller to first, and a fair ball as Guerrero picked it up before it rolled foul and tagged out. Slot. And on the play, Webster down to second now with 2 out.
Good decision by Pedro Guerrero to get to this ball in a hurry. If he doesn't pick it up right away, it's going to go foul because he hit off the end of the bat. A lot of spin to it. Rotation was taking it foul. That last bounce was on the line. So if Guerrero doesn't get there in a hurry, the ball's foul, and Slot has another chance.
Jose Lean, the hitter, hitting .248, 2 homers, 9 RBIs. Jose has done very well against Cardinal pitching in his career. He's hitting .321 against St. Louis. Batting here with Webster at second and 2 away. Ball 1.
Talk about a couple of acrobatic second basemen in this game tonight. Last year, Jose Lean led the league and put out some chances, and we told you already about the 3 errors all year by Oquendo. A couple of second basemen that can pick it and go get it.
Base hit right field. Here comes Webster. Felix Jose bobbles it, so no chance for a play at the plate. 2-0 Pittsburgh.
That base hit really is the entire picture of the Pirates early in the season. They lead the NL East. A lot of people wonder how. Look at the struggling Draybeck, Bond struggling, but they've been coming up with key base hits. When they've needed hits, they've gotten. A little bobble there allowed Webster to score. I don't know if Jose would have had a chance. He has a strong throwing arm. It would have been a close play at the plate, though, I think.
Yeah, I think there would have been a play at the very least.
But the other thing, you had first base open, the pitcher coming up, and you see Lean thinking right there in the number 8 spot, knowing that he's not going to get anything good to hit. Hit a pretty good pitch.
He did. Smiley with a base hit to center field. And he keeps the inning alive to put runners at first and second with 2 outs. This is not, however, out of the Spalding Guide or Ted Williams Science of Hitting book.
Back. Head right down. Not too bad for John Smiley, picking up his 3rd base hit this year. Any way you can help yourself.
A lot of pitchers have the swing hard in case you hit it theory. Smiley had the lean back and make contact theory, and it worked. So Reedus bats for the 2nd time in 2 innings.
Steve Pagnozzi there telling Moyer players are playing back, be alive with the runners at first and second. Sometimes you lose sight. After giving up a hit to a pitcher, all of a sudden you might forget about that guy who was on first.
Yep.
Now is on second.
And as a left-handed pitcher, it's difficult for you to keep track of that runner at second base, and easier for the runner at second to steal third if he chooses. With 2 out, the likelihood of that being attempted by Lean is minimal. But there's a nice combination going with a right-handed hitter in Reedus and a left-handed pitcher on the mound. And Lean able to get a big lead, as neither Ozzie Smith nor Oquendo can afford to come in there and keep him close. If that were Vince Coleman or Ricky Henderson, it might be a different story. 2-1.
Yeah, sometimes with the Colemans or the Hendersons, you forget about what normally might happen in that situation. They're going to go ahead and steal their bases anyway.
2 out or no 2 out. Three and one now to Reedus.
My feeling is, though, and especially with the count now 3-1, that as a hitter, you don't want to see a lot of movement out there. And so Reedus doesn't want to see Lean take off. He wants to see a good pitch. He wants to see his pitch here with the 3-1 count.
Just inside, or on the inside corner rather, for a 3-2 count. Reedus was ready to groove, but the pitch was not where he wanted it, but still a strike.
Infielders take a couple of steps back now with the count 3-2 with 2 out, just to knock the ball down, knowing that the runner is going to be going on the pitch.
They're off, and the pitch is grounded to short. Top play for Ozzie in time, and the inning is over. But the Pirates pick up 2 runs on 3 hits, including Barry Bonds. A pretty good acquisition by Milwaukee, getting him from the California Angels. Let's go back and look at the play by Ozzie Smith to end the inning.
Now, the play actually starts by Ozzie getting a tremendous jump, and then you see the way he surrounds the ball to get in a good throwing position. You get a little something on the throw, and they get the runner by half a step.
On this particular play, when I dove, the ball hit a rock and bounced back behind me, so my glove hand was gone, and I was able to reach back with my bare hand and scramble to my feet and throw a guy out. And that one stands out because of the difficulty. So many things had to go right for that play to be able to complete that play. The ball hit in a spot in my hand where it stuck, right in the palm of my hand, and I was able to get to my feet and throw him out.
The thing that's amazing to me is that Ozzie can pick one as the most memorable because there have been so many. Tom Pagnozzi leads it off the bottom third of the order for the Cardinals.
Little did we know back then on April 20th, 1978, that's when legends begin.
Boy, that's for sure. Those years with the San Diego Padres before he was traded for Gary Templeton, often forgotten because of the 10 years he's now had in St. Louis. Broken bat, pop back to Smiley, who will throw Pagnozzi out, one away. The crowd cheering as they have announced that the Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL finals against the North Stars are leading 2-0 in the first period.
And also cheering because their star, Mario Lemieux, is playing.
Jose Oquendo struggling. And Jose with no hits in his last 21 at-bats.
Yeah, Joe Torre even sat him out the last 4 ball games. So with the day off yesterday, he hasn't played a ball game 5 days.
Back.
You know, Steve, the big test that a lot of people think that have been following the Cardinals, and with them getting off to their 20-16 start, their next 12 ball games are all against the Pirates and the Mets. 6 games against the Pirates, 3 in Pittsburgh, 3 in St. Louis, 6 against the Mets, 3 in New York, 3 in St. Louis. And that'll kind of tell the way things are going for Joe Torre after those 12 games.
And those are, in case you don't know, the 2 teams that are ahead of the Cardinals in the standings. Pirates leading, Mets in second place, and Cardinals in third, 2.5 back. Out of play, and the count still 2-2.
And with Oquendo struggling and swinging at pitches the way he did right there, you don't play him deep. Even when he's hitting the ball well, you don't play him too deep. Shading him to right center field. See Andy Van Slyke, a few steps into right center. Not very deep is the right fielder, Mitch Webster.
Fouled back again. To show you how players, even great glove men like Oquendo, worry about their hitting. Jose told me today, he says, I've been playing very poorly. And I said, what do you mean? You know, your defense has been great. He says, yeah, but I stink at the plate. So all of that great defense doesn't make any difference when you're not hitting. Let's go to John Saunders.
We told you the Cubs got 3 in the top of the first. The Mets came right back against Rick Sutcliffe. That's Kevin McReynolds, who finds his way out into center field. Hubie Brooks comes in to score. Howard Johnson goes into third. He later scored the go-ahead run. It's 4-3. Back to Stephen Thomas.
Now, which number will Howard Johnson be wearing tomorrow night? He's changed from 20 to 44, now back to 20. David Cohn giving up 44 on the Mets, so Hojo tried it for a while, but I guess he didn't like it. He went back to 20. Jamie Moyer looking for his first hit of the season. And if he keeps swinging like that, it may be a while. Oh, and 2.
Think about it. Howard Johnson ought to wear number 31.
That's right. Is it 31 flavors? How many is Howard Johnson? I don't know. I'm not allowed to eat ice cream.
I don't know how many,
Anyway,
but that was 3 strikes.
That was an easy call on Moyer. Welcome back to Three Rivers, so aptly named as Three Rivers converge there at the point. 2-0 Pittsburgh over the Cardinals as we go to the bottom half of the third inning. Jay Bell, who grounded to short his first time up, leads it off. Andy Van Slyke and Bobby Bonilla to follow. Ball 1. One and 1. Big curveball misses. 2 and 1.
I really get a good idea watching Moyer those last few pitches, how he pitches. Occasional fastball, but change-ups, slow breaking pitches.
Well, Jamie's big problem has been control. He has walked a batter tonight. So in 30 innings of work, 30 2/3, he's walked 15 already this year, while striking out 19, and that walk to strikeout ratio is not good. He's also thrown 2 wild pitches. 3 and 2. And the fastball lifted down the right field line. Felix Jose will not get there as it hits against the fence. A reminder that on Memorial Day, we have a triple header of baseball for you. Boggs and Mattingly will square off at 1 o'clock Eastern time as the Red Sox take on the Yankees. And then at 7:30 that evening, the Expos are in Philadelphia. And then at 10:30 Eastern time from the West Coast, it'll be the Cincinnati Reds in Los Angeles. So a triple header on Memorial Day here on ESPN. And Jay Bell walks to lead off the third inning. Moyer walks 2 now.
Talk about some of the problems of Jamie Moyer. I guess one of the other problems would be to try to find out what to do with his father-in-law now. He's not working.
Playing a lot of golf. Yeah, that was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, it was. All right, people at home saying, okay, who's his father-in-law?
What's the surprise? There's probably some people who haven't heard yet, even though, you know, if they joined us late. The news flash this afternoon. You want to fill them in?
News flash. Digger Phelps, Jamie Moyer's father-in-law.
Scott Terry throwing for the Cardinals. You know, it's like it could be news to somebody. Don't follow Notre Dame or basketball. Digger Phelps has been there for almost 20 years. Jay Bell running, and he's out of there. Bagnazzi, who has a very high percentage of runners thrown out, throws out another one.
Well, there's one of the reasons that Todd Zeal is at third base, because of the way Tom Pagnazzi can play defense. His general manager has said that he is one of the better defensive catchers in baseball, not just the National League, in baseball.
And Slyke pops it out of play and can go for 1 and 2. Well, we've had 3 attempted steals, 1 by Pittsburgh and 2 by the Cardinals. None have been successful.
Not the way to go tonight. Dal Maxfield, as general manager, on the end of a lot of throws like that from a lot of catchers.
Andy Van Slyke chasing a bad pitch. And he has really been struggling. And when you look at players such as Van Slyke and Oquendo and others who are not hitting well, it's usually because they're going after pitches they should leave alone and not swinging at pitches they should.
Yeah, and if you're a pitcher such as a Jamie Moyer, pitching against players that are struggling, you're crazy to throw them strikes. And you see the way Moyer pitched Van Slyke right there. Kept the ball out of the strike zone, made him chase some bad pitches, and he struck him out.
Bonilla takes a strike.
Which you have to give Bonilla now even more credit for his batting average. Hitting .313. And not a lot of people surrounding him hitting well.
And there's another base hit for Bonilla. A 2-out single. We are in Pittsburgh, game 1 of our Tuesday night ESPN doubleheader. Steve Zabriskie and Tommy Hutton with you. This glorious evening. Pittsburgh leading 2-0 in the 3rd inning, and they have Bonilla at first with 2 outs. For Barry Bonds, who got the first run of the game with a home run in the 2nd. And he drives another one deep to right, and this one is gone. The Killer Bees strike in the 3rd, and Bonds with his 2nd home run in as many at-bats, his 4th of the year, and he has 3 RBIs. It's 4-0 Pittsburgh.
Well, you talk about a pretty swing on the cut that Bonds had on that off-speed pitch. He was able to wait back on it, and again, that backside didn't fall down on him. He had some good drive in the back leg, but you need to have power like that.
Jamie Moyer is out of there as Joe Torre removes him, and Moyer will still be looking for his first win. We'll be back in just a minute.
Increasing.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Ryobi, offering a full line of power tools for professionals and serious do-it-yourselfers. By XR Film from Kodak for advanced photographers. The genius is in the details. And by Pizza Hut, home of the new Italian classic combo. Pizza Hut, making it great.
4-0 now, the Pirates leading. Barry Bonds with his second home run of the game.
Watch this little breaking pitch hang inside. Moyer wanted that breaking ball away with the curveball. And again, we bring out the fact that Barry Bonds, 17 of his home runs last year against left-handers, and so far this year, all 4 of his home runs off lefties.
And you have to think that perhaps Jamie Moyer's career is in jeopardy, as he made this team as a non-roster invitee in spring training. Scott Terry relieves him, the right-hander, making his 16th appearance. Has yet to record a decision. Mitch Webster, the hitter. He's blowing away ball 1. Webster now batting left-handed.
Yeah, it's been a while. Jamie Moyer's last win as a starter was back in September of '89 as a member of the Texas Rangers.
Swing and a miss, 1-1.
Scott Terry and Chris Carpenter have been doing a good job as right-handers coming out of the bullpen for the Cardinals in the middle relief role.
Strike 2. And middle relief, probably the toughest job on the staff. The fastball is tight. 2-2.
That's the other thing a lot of people forget about the Cardinals. You tend to write off a young club, seeing them in spring training, but if your club, which they've done early, you get a lead, you get some help in the middle part of the ball game, you always have Lee Smith to go to.
Not a good at bat for Mitch Webster, who goes down swinging. 2 more runs score for Pittsburgh on Barry Bonds' second home run of the game.
Cincinnati Reds and Eric Davis take on the San Francisco Giants. Bud Black. No shutout tonight as Eric Davis crushes this ball with a man aboard. That's for 2 runs. It's now 3-0 in the 5th. Back to you.
Thank you, John. Unbelievable swing by Eric Davis. That swing is so unique and yet so powerful. It doesn't look like he would be able to generate that kind of power.
Tell you, we've seen some unbelievable swings from Barry Bonds tonight in his 2 at-bats.
Ray Langford leads it off as John Smiley has faced the minimum. He's given up 2 hits, but both runners caught stealing. As we start the 4th inning with a strike. 4-0 Pittsburgh. Langford grounded to 3rd in the 1st. One and one. Grounded foul, 1-2.
Talking with John Smiley, saw where he had signed out of a tryout camp. You know, a lot of times you hear about tryout camps. I was asking him about that. It was outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He attended a Pirates tryout camp. He said, you talk about pressure. He said they got all the pitchers together, a whole group of guys. They each got to throw 10 pitches.
Lean does all that he can do, but there's no way that he can get Langford on that ball. It's an infield hit. They only got 10 pitches?
10 pitches, so obviously he impressed the scouts with the Pirates right there. No second baseman. Even Jose Lean can make this play with the speedy Ray Langford getting up the line, but Lean made it close. Got up and still was able to get the throw over to Gary Reed.
And here's Ozzie, who can make plays like that as well. He, too, had an infield hit in the first inning. 2 of the Cardinals' 3 hits have been infield base hits. And Langford, who has 8 stolen bases, draws a throw. 8 out of 11 for Ray.
You have to think, even if some of these young players have the green light, even though they're down 4-0, they'd think twice before taking off right here, because the last thing you want to do is get picked off or caught when you're down by 4.
Cardinals getting the leadoff runner on have a chance for a big inning, and you can run yourself right on out of an inning, especially the way Smiley has been able to trick both Ozzie Smith and Felix Jose already.
Yeah, that might be what Gary Reedus was telling Smiley right there. Come on, don't worry about this guy too much. The Cardinals, what they want to do is get to Guerrero, Felix Jose, and Todd Zeile. Try to get the big boppers up in this inning.
With 1 or 2 guys on. Langford digging in. And that time Smiley had him going back to the bag as Smith takes strike 2.
First basemen hate that, by the way. See Langford digging in. It's all right to dig in the batter's box, but you dig in over at first base, you're just tearing up the territory.
Serious bad hops when you get a hole that big over.
Reedus gets a bad hop, he can go blame Ray Langford. Look at that. Stop it.
Thanks a lot. Pounded up the middle. Bell to leaned to Reedus in time. Big double play for the Pirates. Let's check in with John Saunders.
Well, the Cubs and the Mets are just pouring the runs on the board. Rick Sutcliffe is out of the game, and Dave Maggin in here under Mark Grace. In comes the run in Coleman. Around comes Jeffries. 7-3 is the score now in the third. Back to you.
Well, the Mets came back with a vengeance after Taco Bell's 3-run home run in the first.
And Joe Altobelli saying, why me?
2 out, nobody on for Bernard Gilkey. And the rookie takes a strike. Gilkey popped out in foul territory to first baseman Gary Reedus. And that's going to be a base hit in the gap in right center field. It may go all the way to the wall, and it will. Gilkey falls down. We're going to have a play at second, but he's in there. Gilkey may have stepped in the hole that Langford dug.
I'll tell you what, that was the first thing that came into my mind when I saw him round first base.
I think he was farther toward the outfield, but he tripped at about the same point as he crossed the dirt area back onto the turf.
Well, he gets the easy double, but that's a sure triple with his speed, and it makes that double play that really wasn't a double play type ball. Wasn't hit all that hard. That possibly is that step that we talked about that Ozzie lost, getting up the line from the right side. The big double play by the Pirates is all of a sudden if that ball is hit with 2 runners on, they're back in the ball game.
Yep. And they have Guerrero up. But now a little meeting on the mound as Bonilla and Slaughton confer with Smiley. And the reason is this is the first time they've had a runner at second base, and they're now going to use a sequence of signs. And so they all want to be on the same page. And Bonilla, as all the infielders do, want to know what the pitch is. Inside for a ball. Guerrero struck out swinging, opening the second inning. Gilkey, who runs very well at second base with 2 out. Out of play, 1-1.
There's a look at Gilkey rounding first base. You can see that left foot, though, the toe just caught. And that's what caused him to trip, but he was quick enough to get up and at least make it on to second.
I'll tell you, talk about embarrassing. How about doing it when you're trying to score? You see guys crawling to the plate. Fly ball, right center field and fairly deep. Van Slyke a long way to go, but he doesn't have to take it as Mitch Webster, who runs well, gets there first. 2 hits, only 1 left, and no runs again for St. Louis. Friday night here on ESPN, another doubleheader for you. And in game 1 of that doubleheader, the Dodgers will be in Cincinnati. We've already seen Eric the Red go deep tonight. Norm Charlton, of course, one of the nastier of the nasty boys. Ramon Martinez may or may not be pitching for the Dodgers, but he's certainly become one of the best in the National League. 7:30 Eastern time, Friday night.
Well, he's doing so good. Just go out to the ballpark, watch him shag. If he's not pitching.
Yeah, he may be throwing on the side. That might be worth looking at. Bottom of the order for the Pirates, Don Slott, Jose Lind, and John Smiley here in the fourth. And a sharply hit ball to short. Ozzie will handle it. And as usual, a good throw, one away. Slott now 0 for 2.
Second baseman, Jose.
I mean, literally, that is a play on that routine ground ball that Ozzie could make blindfolded. Let him know where the ball is, about where it's coming.
Yeah, he'd catch it and throw it. Oh, he'd probably make a good throw, too. Chico, Jose Lind had an RBI base hit to right field with 2 out in the second inning. And he takes a strike. He drove in the second Pirate run. Mitch Webster, who had walked.
Funny talking with Chico about early days as a player, and I said, who did you watch? Did you ever follow any second baseman? He said, no, he was a basketball player. He didn't start playing baseball until he was 13.
And I'll tell you what, he can leap. He can hang with the best of them.
Guarantee he can dunk.
If he were taller, he might have a career in basketball. He can jump with anybody.
And he said, probably has told Jim Lehman the same thing, that as a youngster, when he was 13 and started playing ball, he pitched. Didn't even play second base then.
Well, he has a super arm. His arm is almost wasted at second base.
But you know how ball players are. I'm talking to him about this, and LaValliere and Van Slyke are right off to the side, listening in. You know, and they're going, sure, yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. Sure. Those are two guys that can jockey with the best of them. Oswald will take it. 2 away.
Well, one thing you need when you are a winning ball club is a great attitude. The Pirates certainly have that. And speaking of Van Slyke, they got what they call a Louis chart. That's right by Van Slyke's locker. And he was explaining the whole thing, the Louis chart, to me. And we may not have time to get into it. He comes up next. We'll talk about the Louis chart that they keep track of hitters.
I think he's on there a little bit this year.
Not much, though.
Oh, really?
No, he'd like to be on there more. It's after Luis Salazar of the Cubs, who they claim gets more dink hits and cheap hits than anybody in the league. So anytime any of the Pirate players gets a cheap base hit, a little flare, a little dinker, they put an L by their name
for Louis.
And it's endorsed by Luis Salazar. He signed the chart. So the leader right now is Bobby Bonilla, and that's why he's hitting over 300, because he's leading on the Louis chart, and Van Slyke has only 1.
Well, that's the way it is. When you're not going well, you don't get those
That's
flares.
right. So here's the clubhouse, the guy that's struggling, Van Slyke, and they have this big chart by his locker, the Louis chart. They even gave Jay Bell a Louis on the inside the park home run he hit.
That's weak. John Smiley with a ground ball to first. Guerrero says, I'll take it, but then he flips over to Terry. And Smiley, who had a base hit his first time up, is retired. The Pirates go in order here in the fourth, but lead by 4.
Red Sox were down 5-0 entering the third inning, but they get it back in a hurry. 5-3 when Hunter gives this one up to Brunansky. Deepest part of the park. And watch Robin Yount. He plays it as if it's off the wall, but the umpire signals for the home run. Now 6-5 in the fourth. Back to Bob and Bill.
Thank you, sir. 4-0 Pittsburgh as we go to the 5th inning here at Three Rivers. John Smiley is in command.
You know, there are always certain teams that the pitchers pitch well against. Smiley 4-3 lifetime against the Cardinals, but he had a ball game against St. Louis back in '88, a 2-hit shutout. 5-0 shutout against St. Louis. And left-handers over the years have fared well against the Cardinals. A lot of switch hitters. You flip them over to the right side where they don't hit as much. Over the years, left-handers have done very well against St. Louis.
Felix Jose with a fair ball inside the right field line, and he will have extra bases as Webster runs it down. A leadoff double for the red-hot Felix Jose, who is 2 for 2 tonight. He has extended his hitting streak to 8 games, over which he's hitting well over 500.
I tell you, the greatest thing you hear about Felix Jose, look at this swing, very consistent. Had that base hit last time up through the hole on the left side. This time he takes the shot down the right field line. But the consistent thing you hear about Felix Jose for a young player, 25 years old, he plays hard. He wants to learn and improve his game. That's good to hear.
Absolutely. Todd Zeile, another youngster, doing well, fly to right to end the second inning, and he takes a strike. 5th hit for the Cardinals, each club with 5. Last year he was the league's low at runners in scoring position, and this year hitting .333. There's a little maturity right there. And he has Jose in scoring position now. Fly ball down the right field line. Reedus running, Webster running, and out of play, just into the corner of the Pirates bullpen. Some years ago, the bullpens here used to be reversed. And then somebody got the idea that you could put them on the same side. I kind of liked it the other way because you could look from the dugout down to your own bullpen.
That's really up to the manager. If Jim Leland wanted to look into his bullpen, then he would have the Pirates down the left field line, but obviously it doesn't bother him. It doesn't bother Ray Miller, his pitching coach.
Tight. And a count to Zeile, 1-2.
You know, that average we saw Todd Zeile last year, low with runners in scoring position, that's one of those figures that builds as the year goes on, because all of a sudden you keep coming up with men on, and you know that you haven't been successful, and you're a rookie, and it just keeps building and getting worse. But he's too good of a player, too good a hitter to have that problem during a career. He's improved, much improved this year with his stroke. He's getting comfortable, not only playing third base, but also hitting.
And it is a tribute to him that the change has not affected him that negatively at the plate. Sharply hit and knocked down by Smiley, and they have Felix Jose hung up. Now he throws it in the dirt. Jay Bell not in time. They had a chance to get the lead runner, and Smiley threw it in the dirt, and Bell couldn't come up with it.
So Todd Zeile ends up at first base. The mistake by Smiley, he doesn't run at the runner. The thing you're taught is if you check that runner and he's off the bag, run right at him. Smiley stops, and then he throws the ball. If he runs at Jose and runs him in a surrounding manner to run him back towards second base, then he can make the decision, make the throw. But he took a couple of steps off the mound and then threw it, made a bad throw, and Jose made the third.
So with nobody out, the Cardinals have something going with runners at first and third. It'll be an error on Smiley, allowing Jose to advance to third by throwing the ball in the dirt. The first error of the game. Pagnozzi 0 for 1, and Ray Miller is out of the Pirates dugout.
I think right here just an opportunity for Ray Miller to go out and just try to settle him down after that error.
And while he does that, let's go back to the studio and John Saunders.
Well, Steve and Tommy, we showed you the Tom Brunansky home run given up by Hunter. A couple of batters later, he hits Tony Pena. B.J. Surhoff gets out there as the peacemaker. But by that time, the benches begin to clear. We saw this happen between the White Sox and the Blue Jays a while ago, but Pena doesn't make it out to the mound. Everyone gets out and in on the act in this one. Boston up 6-5 now. Get it back. Steve and Tommy.
You know, Tommy, I don't know whether it's good or bad, but it used to be that throwing close or even knocking guys down was a part of the game, and players didn't take exception as they do now. Now, if a guy hits a home run and another guy gets even pitched inside, they want to fight. Base hit center field. Pagnozzi drives in Felix Jose. Zeile stops at second, and the Cardinals get their first run. It's 4-1 Pittsburgh.
Second baseman, Jose.
Well, that time Smiley got what he wanted. Ray Miller with the visit probably told him try to keep the ball on the ground, only but Pagnozzi found the hole. Hit the ball on the ground a little bit to the left. It's an easy double play ball.
Pagnozzi's 9th RBI of the year, and here's Jose Oquendo, who struck out in the third.
That helps him a lot, though, Pagnozzi. He came into that at bat 1 for his last 16.
Oquendo 0 for 22. He's up there to bunt, and he bunts it towards third. Bonilla will go to first, and the sacrifice moves the runners to second and third with one out. Craig Wilson is out of the Cardinals dugout to pinch hit. Scott Terry, who worked 1 1/3 innings of relief.
Number 12.
Say Wilson has been a guy that's come off the bench last year and this year. Sometimes it's tough for a young player to be so successful in that role. I guess another example would be Mark Carrion with the New York Mets. You have success off the bench, and all of a sudden they say, gee, he's a good pinch hitter. We can't play him every day.
Pigeonhole him.
And that's the case with Craig Wilson.
Well, he's 4 for 7 coming off the bench.
391 last year as a pinch hitter.
He also has 2 pinch hit RBIs. Runners at second and third with 1 out. And a big cut. Foul tip. Strike 1. Overall, Wilson hitting .227. No homers and 4 total RBIs. Fly ball to center field. This should get 1 run home. Van Slyke drifts back. Zeal tagging at third. The throw goes to third. Trying to advance is Pagnozzi, and he's in there. 4-2 Pittsburgh. The RBI by Wilson is 5th. And a runner at third now with 2 out.
Center fielder Ray Langford.
Vicente Palacios and Neil Heaton throwing in the Pirates bullpen. Heaton, the left-hander.
The heater.
The heater. Top of the order now, and Ray Langford, who's 1 for 2. Make that 2 for 3, and it's a 1-run ball game. Pagnozzi scores from third. 4-3 Pittsburgh, as the Cardinals have scored 3 times here in the 5th.
Tell you what, it's amazing since the visit by Ray Miller, that base hit by Pagnozzi, Okendo with a good bunt, the deep fly ball by Wilson. This pitch, good hitting spot. If you're a left-hander, more often than not, you want to just set a left-handed hitter up inside, show him a pitch inside, and work him away. That ball laid right out over the plate for Langford. He had a good stroke.
Ozzie Smith 1 for 2. He, like Langford, with an infield base hit. And Langford going, and Smiley has him picked off, but he's in there. Reedus' throw pulling Jay Bell to the infield side of the bag, and it'll be a stolen base for Langford, his 9th.
This is why a lot of times runners, when they go on movement by the pitcher, will just keep going, because it really puts pressure on the first baseman. First of all, you have to come off the bag if you're the first baseman. Let's see if Reedus does that, because he knows how much of a jump Langford has. And he hurried things, and it was a wild throw.
Good play by Bonilla on a hard hit ball that was by him to end the inning. But a 3-run inning for the Cardinals, and it's 4-3 Pittsburgh. Tim Sherrill is in relief, the 3rd Cardinals pitcher of the night. Has only made 2 appearances and pitched 2 innings since his call up from Louisville. Louisville. No, actually, Louisville. You got to take one more syllable out of it.
Yeah, just 2 syllables.
Louisville. Thank you. Thank you. Great town, Louisville. Gary Reedus, the leadoff hitter, leading off the 5th for the Pirates, who now lead by 1 after leading by 4. Reedus has struck out and grounded to short. Drive to left. It'll fall in for a base hit. Gilkey over to cut it off. Ritas with a big turn, but he will be held with a single.
That's where, as an outfielder, you have to know the speed of hitters. That ball hit off the end of the bat, not hit all that hard by Ritas, and he knew it. He took a big turn, but Gilkey came up and made a strong throw into second base. If you go over that ball to get that ball lackadaisically, not knowing the speed of Gary Ritas, all of a sudden you look up, Ritas is standing at second base.
That's right. That's a hustling double before you know it. Jay Bell, the hitter, grounded to short and walked 0 for 1.
Gee, what do you think he's going to do? He surprises everybody. 39 sacrifice bunts last year. Look at 11 already this year.
Pirates are a sacrificial ball club. Now that it's a one-run game, another run makes a lot of difference. So we may see Jay Bell bunting. Nope. 1-1. That doesn't mean they won't put it on right here.
That's what gives Jim Leland options. Gene Lamont fires some signs on toward Bell, but on a 1-1 pitch, a lot of times you'll see that hit and run put on. So you keep the infield alive.
If I were managing, and there are many people thankful I'm not, I would prefer to hit and run here. Pitch out. Well, Joe Torre's looking for something.
You're thinking right along the lines of Joe Torre.
2-1. An even better count on which to do something.
Yeah, because you know they're not going to pitch out again. Or are you, Joe?
Not a hit and run, but well hit to center field. Langford going back has the play, and Ritas playing it halfway. We'll go back to first with 1 out, and we'll go back to the studio and John Saunders.
The Cubs and the Mets are playing the last one to score, and tonight here, Greg Jeffries sends it towards short. Watch Vince Coleman go up like a high jumper or a hurdler, and he's over top of it. Cubs in to score 8-5 now in the fourth. Back to Stephen Thomas.
Well, the Mets were trying to find their offense. I think they may have found it.
Now all we have to do is say, let's go back to John and check in on that Mets game.
That's right. We're going to have a highlight every inning here, the way that game's going. Van Slyke struggling. Grounded back to the pitcher and struck out swinging. Takes tight for ball 1. Andy, one of the few guys in baseball who's going as badly as he is, could still maintain a sense of humor and look for those Louis.
Yeah. But he said he's not out of bounds yet. He's just in the rough.
He shanked a few.
He's great.
Well, he'll come out of it. He's too good a player not to. Runner goes. Strike called, and the throw not in time. Ritas with a stolen base. His 7th of the year, and he has yet to be caught.
Gets a good pitch to go on, a breaking pitch. Pagnazzi come up and still made a strong throw. A little bit to the opposite side of the bag. That ball is on the first base side of the bag. Ozzie Smith has a shot, but Gary Ritas a knowledgeable base runner, even though now as he's gotten a little older, Gary Ritas 34. I mean, not the speed, but he stole 52 bases one year.
Even though he doesn't run as often, he knows how to run, as evidenced by his not yet being caught this year.
Well, he's also just 3 stolen bases shy of 300 for his career.
So he's at second with 1 out, and the count to Van Slyke. A ball and a strike. Van Slyke really struggling against left-handed pitching. And that breaking ball, one of the big reasons. Andy's front shoulder is just flying out of it.
Yeah, and the shoulder, once the shoulder flies out of there, the head goes, and then you don't even see the pitch that you're swinging at. And that's what happened on that last one, and that's what's been happening for Andy.
Little looper. Ozzie can't get it. Base hit. Here comes Ritas. And no play at the plate as he will score. And the Pirates lead it 5-3. There's a Louis.
Little jab shot, but the reason Andy Van Slyke was able to get the base hit, he waited a little bit longer, didn't fly out of there as much, and he's strong enough to hit the ball off the hands and still get it over the shortstop's head. So mark that one down in the Louis category. See, he waited. Instead of going out after, taking the shoulder and the head with him, he waited that fraction of a second longer and picked up the base hit.
His 20th RBI of the year. And back to a 2-run Pirate lead. He's at first for Bobby Bonilla, who is 1 for 2. Bonilla with a single to left in the third, later scored ahead of Bond's second home run. Down low for a ball. Bobby's hit .382 over his last 8 games. He's now hit in 8 of his last 9. Way outside. 2-0.
Tell you, last 3 seasons for Bobby Bonilla, he's averaged 27 home runs and 102 RBIs.
Will he be in a Pirate uniform, A, at the end of the year, and B, next season? Outside again, 3-0.
Well, if they continue to battle the Mets all the way, the Pirates, the Mets stay there, there's no way they can make any kind of a change in September.
I don't see how
Even if you
world.
don't think you're going to sign him, you have to keep him, give yourself a chance.
Well hit to center. Langford has room, however. Van Slyke was almost all the way to second, and he goes back to first. 2 out. We'll check in again with John.
And we'll fool you this time. Not the Cubs and the Mets, but the Phillies and the Expos. Dennis Martinez to Ricky Jordan out to center field. Marquise Grissom having a tremendous year. Brings it home. Passy with the tag on Dickie Thorne. Then he drives in a couple. 2-0 in the 6th. Back to you.
Thank you, John. Even though you tricked us, that was a magnificent play. Well, Barry Bonds gets an ovation as he has homered twice. All 4 of his home runs this year against left-handers, and he's facing another left-hander now in Tim Sherrill. He homered to right with nobody on in the second, and he homered to right again in the third with Bonilla aboard. Blown away, 2-0. Here's his first home run.
That pitch looked like a little slider. Not a lot of movement out over the plate.
Too little.
Yeah, the second pitch was a little more in.
Foul back.
Second one wasn't a slider. It looked like either a curveball or a forkball, but not too much break. The ball stays inside. That was a curveball. Stayed inside, and he knew it all the way.
Yeah, he may have even though he pulled this ball, he may have hit it farther than the one he hit over the 375 sign. It probably would have traveled close to 400 feet.
10th time that he's hit 2 home runs in a game.
Sherrill with a throw to first, but Van Slyke barely off the bag. A run in here in the 5th inning. 5-3, Pittsburgh leading. 2 out with Van Slyke at first, and the count 2-1 to Bond.
Need I say he's never hit 3 in a game?
It's a good time to say it. 3-1. Well, if he ever had a chance to hit 3 in a game, he may be able to just dig those toenails in and take a rip right here with a 3-1 count and 2 out. And the breaking ball hit him off of his arm. Crowd boos, mainly because they wanted to see if he could hit 3 home runs.
Yeah, they booed because they couldn't figure out why he threw a breaking ball, 3-1. But it was a breaking ball, not a fastball inside. That's why Bonds doesn't do anything about that. But that's a tough pitch to get away from, because 3-1, you really are dug in when you hit 2 home runs, and you're looking for that pitch out over the plate, a good pitch for you to hit, and he didn't get it. And one of the things Joe Coleman, this is really an improved pitching staff because of a lot of the things Joe Coleman has preached to this staff is to challenge, pitch a little more inside, be a little more aggressive. You didn't see it on that pitch, though, by Tim Sherrill.
No, he didn't challenge him at all. So runners at first and second with 2 out for Mitch Webster.
Right fielder, Mitch Webster.
Webster has walked and scored and struck out swinging. Popped up and foul out of play. Strike 1.
With Mitch Webster up there, we mentioned before the injury to Jeff King, who's been playing third base. Webster getting a chance with Bonilla coming in and playing third. King is eligible today to come off the disabled list. He was taking some batting practice extra. They're going to give him a couple more days, maybe even send him down, let him play 3 games in minor leagues to get ready, get his stroke back before they activate him on the major league roster.
Jeff King, a former #1 draft choice of the Pirates. 1-1 to Webster. And a strike at the knees. 1-2.
Mitch Webster, a player who years ago was kind of buried in the minor leagues with the Toronto Blue Jays organization. All the young outfielders they had at that time, Marfield, Mosby, George Bell coming up. Got a break, got an opportunity to go to Montreal. Did a good job with the Expos.
Fouled off. And the count remains 2-2. Mitch was telling me today that when after he was traded here, his wife said, "Is everybody's career like this?" She said, "Can't we even stay in the same league?" Coming over from Cleveland. It was with Chicago prior to that. The Cubs in the National League. 3-2 and 2 out. So the Pirates with excellent speed aboard with Van Slyke at second and Bonds at first. We'll have the runners off with the pitch for the full count and 2 out.
That's what Pagnozzi was doing, alerting the infield. 3-2, 2 out. Everybody's moving, so get the out at first base.
They go. Grounded to third. Good play by Zeal. Throws it in the dirt, but it's picked by Guerrero, and the inning is over. The Pirates, however, get a run on 2 hits here in the 5th and lead it by 2.
For High Life streaks, peaks, and valleys, Wally Joyner with a 16-game hit streak. He is streaking. Tonight he'll face the White Sox. Peaks, Jeff Reardon earned career save number 300, only the 4th pitcher ever to do so. And valleys, Alan Trammell 4 for his last 40 entering tonight, but he has a single and a double tonight, so he'll get off the valleys, perhaps. Right now, back to Steve and Tom.
Thank you, John. Wally World is alive and well in Southern California.
I tell you what, and congratulations to Jeff Reardon. One of the
man.
best kept secrets in baseball,
Yeah,
I think, to get that 300 mark, and he should go by Goose Gossage at 307, and then on the way toward Raleigh Fingers, who is the all-time leader with 341.
Elite company. Bernard Gilkey leads off the 6th inning for St. Louis. John Smiley has gone all the way for the Pirates. Gilkey 1 for 2 with a double to right center in the 4th inning. Gilkey, Guerrero, and Felix Jose for the Cardinals in the 6th. A strike, and it's 0-2. It is a 5-3 Pittsburgh lead. The Pirates led it 4-0, and the Cardinals put up a tray in the 5th. Pittsburgh coming back with a single run in the bottom half of the 5th.
Here's a young guy, Bernard Gilkey, born in St. Louis, born and raised in St. Louis, and getting a chance to get to the major leagues with his hometown club. Not many get that opportunity.
Nope. Playing in front of the home folks. No pitch on that one, as a matter of fact. Gilkey, with his double in this game, has been on base 29 of 34 games this year. Either a hit or a walk. Good sinking pitch for strike 3. Let's get another update from John.
Padres and the Braves, and here's one that Dave Justice is trying to figure out. Watch Kevin Ward on this fly ball that goes into foul territory. Ward has no idea where it is. Can't find that and track it down. Now on the very next pitch, watch this one. Justice thinks he has extra bases. Ward somehow finds this one with the catch. They're tied in the 7th. Stephen Thomas.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. That's part of the game. Pedro Guerrero, the hitter. And Pete takes outside for ball 1. He's 0 for 2, having struck out and fly deep to Webster in right center.
Similar to a play the other day, Mike Pagliarulo with an inside-the-park home run. Tony Phillips in left field. Ball dropped. He thought it was foul.
Let it roll around. Jay Bell with an easy play and an easy out number 2 here in the 6th inning. Threw out nobody on. And boxing on ESPN Thursday night. Top rank, of course, as usual. This Thursday from Las Vegas, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Kennedy McKinney. Goes against Jerome Coffey. They're featherweight. They'll go 10 rounds. And then Alex Garcia and Rocky Sikorsky. The heavyweights will go 10 rounds. Hey, Rocky. Hey, Joe Adrian.
Good ratio right there for Smiley. This is a big inning for him, too, to come back after the 5th inning where he allows the 3 runs with 3 hits. Had the visit to the mound by Ray Miller, his pitching coach. And it's always a good sign for pitching to see how he reacts after having a bad inning. So far, Smiley has done the job, getting the first 2 out.
And he's facing the heart of the order. Felix Jose, the hitter, who is 2 for 2 here in the 6th inning. The 3, 4, and 5 hitters against John Smiley. Off the end of the bat up the middle. Tough play for Bell. He can't make it. And Felix Jose is 3 for 3. 2 singles and a double.
He just shows his speed right there. You think of Felix Jose and some of the power that he has, but he also possesses some good speed. Hits this ball off the end of the bat. Topper. Smiley can't get it. And even if Jay Bell comes up and gets a grip on the ball, he probably doesn't get him at first base either. He couldn't find the handle, so he just wisely held on instead of going and making a throw and throwing it past the first baseman.
Todd Zeal 0 for 2. He's flied out and reached on a fielder's choice.
By the way, you know who's going to be watching that Top-ranked boxing? It's Jose Oquendo. He was telling me he's a great boxing fan. He said if there's a baseball game or a boxing match, he's going to watch boxing over baseball.
He sees baseball every day. Fly ball center field. Van Slyke just waiting, and the inning is over. 1 hit, 1 left in the 6th inning for St. Louis. The Pirates still holding a 2-run lead.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Sterling, the remarkably equipped British road car. By 3M, worldwide sponsor of the 1992 Olympic Games. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you, friends know when to say when.
5-3 Pirates as we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Steve Zabriskie and Tommy Hutton with you on Tuesday Night Baseball here on ESPN. Game 2 to follow from the left coast. And Don Slott to lead it off for Pittsburgh. Grounded foul. Sluggo is 0 for 2 tonight. He is grounded out twice.
Interesting thing about Slott, here he is catching John Smiley tonight, and just because of the way the matchups have gone this year, Smiley hasn't thrown to Slot. All of his outings have been against opposing right-handers, so Spanky's been back there. LaVallier's been catching. This is the first night that Slot's been back there.
I love those two catchers, Sluggo and Spanky. I think those go a long way to get two better nicknames on one club.
They look like catchers.
They do. They're
Slot's got the helmet down.
quintessential catchers. Hello. 2-1.
You're not going to see these guys wearing high tops or earrings.
No.
Except Benito Santiago, though, the catcher. Which amazes me how you can wear the mask with the earring.
And he didn't used to have that. He's just recently gone to that. Line drive down the right field line, slicing but staying fair. Slot going for 2. Felix Jose has a little trouble in the corner, and it's an easy stand-up double for Don Slot, leading off the 6th.
That's why Sluggo's in there with the left-hander. Swings the bat well. He always has. Pitch out over the plate. Has that one-hand release, but when Slot hits the ball in that area, doesn't try to pull everything. He's a much better hitter. Now, you can bobble a little bit when you have a catcher running, but you saw Slot also take a peek at the third base coach before he got to the second base bag. That's what you're supposed to do. About 10, 12 feet or so before you get to that bag, look at the coach.
Lean bounds one to Oquendo, who flips it over to Guerrero, and on the play, Slot goes to third with 1 out, and we'll go to John.
Budweiser takes us now to Houston in the Astrodome. Mark Portugal to Bob Ojeda. Casey Candell ranges to his right, spins and fires, and robs the pitcher of a base hit. It's scoreless now in the 4th. Back to Stephen Fowler.
Thank you, John. We're going to have a pinch hitter, Lloyd McClendon, out swinging a bat, as that's going to be all for John Smiley, who will lead the game here in the 6th inning with a 2-run lead. And pitched very well. Had one shaky inning in the 5th when the Cardinals scored 3, but other than that, was pretty much in command.
Yeah, he threw the ball extremely well after that shaky inning, came back in the 6th and just gave up the infield base hit to Felix Jose. But McClendon, another one of those players, and all of a sudden, slowly, as Palacios gets loose, slowly the bench is starting to form for Jim Leland. Once he gets King back, he'll have the veteran Mitch Webster to add to McClendon and Curtis Wilkerson.
McClendon takes a strike on the outside corner at the knees.
Gary Varsho getting a little more experience, and then you always have either Slot or LaValliere on the bench, depending upon who's catching.
McClendon 2 for 7 as a pinch hitter, one of those a home run. He has driven in 3 runs as a pinch hitter, and he has Slot at third. Grounded foul. Crowd roaring here at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. We're here for Tuesday Night Baseball on ESPN. Steve Zabriskie and Tommy Hutton with the Pirates leading by 2. They are cheering because the PA announcer noted that the Pittsburgh Penguins now lead the Minnesota North Stars 4-0 in the Stanley Cup playoff. 4-1, excuse me. And McClendon went too far, says home plate umpire Bob Davidson, even though he's trying to get out of the way.
Once you commit yourself and that pitch runs inside, your upper body just carries you around. And there was no chance there for McClendon to hold back. A good pitch there by Tim Sherrill.
Outside.
If there is a weak point in the Cardinal pitching staff, it would be that middle relief, because they've gotten some good outings from veterans, Bryn Smith, Bob Tewksbury, Kenny Hill, Jose De Leon, other pitchers in their rotation, and the big guy closing, Lee Smith.
1-1 to Reedus, who's 1 for 3. Fly ball to left. That's what the Pirates wanted with 1 out, but it comes with 2 out, and the inning is over. 1 hit and 1 left in the 6th for Pittsburgh. They still lead 5-3.
Rangers on a roll. They've won 7 consecutive games heading into Minnesota tonight. Kevin Tapani to Steve Buechele. This is a 2-run home run. He has 3 in his last 3 games. They're trying to make it 8 straight. Back to Steve Thompson.
That pitch was known to be gone from the time it was thrown up. We're going to the 7th here in Pittsburgh. Pirates leading 5-3. And Vicente Palacios in relief of John Smiley. Tom Pagnazzi, the hitter. Palacios making only his 3rd relief appearance, as he has been primarily a starter, but has faltered a tad and gone to the bullpen.
Tell you what, he really stepped in, though, and helped out when Bob Walk went on the disabled list with a full groin. And as far as right-handers, with Palacios and Drabek 2-6, Palacios 2-2, and you look at what all the lefties have done, 13-3 combined. But
playable in right field for Mitch Webster over near the line. 1 away.
Bob Walk is off the DL. He pitched the other day, and he was throwing in a simulated type ball game prior to batting practice tonight. He'll probably go back in the rotation, but it's nice to know you have Palacios that you can go to.
Yep.
If Walk doesn't come through and pitch the way he can.
Oquendo now will bat left-handed. He's 0 for 1. He struck out in the 3rd inning and then had a successful sacrifice bunt in the 5th inning that really did help the Cardinals inning when they scored 3 as he moved 2 runners over. Ball 2.
You know, talking about Oquendo as we were a couple of innings ago, and his love for boxing, he boxes a little bit himself. He said not so much now. He's wearing braces now, so he doesn't want to do anything to that. But as we continue the conversation, boxing has helped the footwork and the quickness in the feet for an infielder.
It's also helped Jose a little bit strength-wise, because when he was a youngster coming up with the Mets, he had a real problem switch hitting because he just wasn't strong enough to swing the bat from his unnatural side, which is left. Milt Thompson on deck as a pinch hitter for Tim Sherrill, the pitcher. And Jose Oquendo walks with 1 out. Thompson will be the batter.
For the Cardinals, batting for Sherrill.
Thompson hitting .415.
Milt Thompson.
And as a pinch hitter, he is 4 for 9 with a home run and 3 RBIs.
Talk about a quality player to have around when you can insert him in the outfield and put him up there to pinch hit. Milt Thompson near a .280 lifetime batting average.
Fouled off to strike 1.
3 years ago, he hit over 300 for the Philadelphia Phillies.
And his on-base percentage this year, Tommy, is .520.
Tell you what, another impressive stat is on Thompson. 34 pinch hits in his career. His lifetime pinch hitting average is .301.
Down the left field line, Bonds gives it a look, but it's going to be well back in the bullpen and bounce back onto the field. Stan Belinda and Neil Heaton. Heaton, the left-hander, was up earlier, and Belinda now throwing. 0-2 to Milt.
The other thing that Milt Thompson allows Joe Torre hitting in this spot, if the inning continues, you can always make that double switch because you're not afraid to put Thompson in the outfield. So you'll get him another at bat in the ball game and get your pitcher in there a little bit longer.
And he adds still more speed to that Cardinal roster. Two and 2.
And then you have youngsters such as Gilkey and Langford and Jose, and if they falter, they go in a little bit of a tailspin. Go ahead, give them a couple of days off, put Milt Thompson in there.
Slapped on the ground and a fair ball. Nope, foul. Kind of a delayed call by Jerry Lane, the third base umpire.
Jerry doesn't get excited about a lot of those calls, you know.
No,
He just
took his time. It was close, too.
Let's see the exciting Jerry Lane down there. Not. That's foul.
You don't have to replay him in slow motion. He's already given it to you in slow motion. 2-2. Well hit, a base hit to center field. Well, Thompson continues to hit well. He moves Okendo over to second, and runners at first and second, still only one out.
Center fielder Ray Langford.
Well, John Smiley pitched very well tonight. Thompson, or rather, Palacios has relieved him. But except for that third inning, or that fifth inning, when he gave up the 3 runs, he had a fine outing. And of course, he still leaves with the lead, of course.
You know, if there is a little problem that the Pirates have had lately, coming into tonight over their last 6 ball games, now you can say 7 with the outing of John Smiley, their starting pitching hasn't lasted 7 innings. And so they have had a little help from their bullpen.
Langford, 2 for 3 on the night with an RBI. He has also stolen a base. And Palacios taking a long time, so Langford steps out.
Have to be alive here too in the outfield, because anything getting into the gaps, going to the wall, and Thompson with his speed, he can score from first base. And that's one thing why speed is so important on AstroTurf. And the Pirates certainly have it with Bonds and Van Slyke and Mitch Webster in right field.
I'd like to know on that Cardinal team who is the fastest guy. Thompson's got to be up there close. They've got a lot of guys that can burn. But that's their history of the St. Louis Cardinals, especially since they moved into Busch Stadium. We can go back to Lou Brock, who may not have had the fastest feet in the world, but certainly one of the quickest and one of the best base stealers as far as technique is concerned.
Tell you what, I'd have to, if I were going to put a little wager, I'd have to go with Ray Langford.
Would you?
I mean, here's a young guy rushed for over 1,000 yards in junior college. So you know he can run and he's strong. That strong upper leg, the thighs. Anytime you look at those speedy runners,
they got some serious thighs. It'd be interesting to put him at Milt in a 40-yard dash, head-to-head. 3-0 to Langford. Palacios digging a little hole. He has the tying runs aboard with 1 out. He has yet to get a strike to Langford. He has 3-1 now.
yeah, this is not working out the way Jim Leland had planned. And sometimes when you have a pitcher who has been in the starting rotation for a while, Palacios was getting used to that role. Now with Walkback, he's in the bullpen, and he hasn't reacted well to that tonight.
Fouled off. 3-2. Langford may have swung at ball 4, but it was close.
With the speed, let's see what Joe Torre does with 1 down on this 3-2 pitch. Might have to say they're going.
Yeah, you might look for it. Langford would be very difficult to double up unless he really smacked it right at somebody in the infield. Runners go, and the pitch is driven high in the air and deep to center field. Van Slyke back, makes the catch on the track, and the runners retreat. Langford hit it a long way, but Van Slyke ran it down 2 away.
There's where that speed comes in handy in the outfield. Van Slyke all the way to the warning track, and then after he makes the catch, watch the throw. Braces himself and comes up all the way in the air. He knew that the runners were going, so he knew that he had a chance maybe to double somebody off all the way in the air to Jose Lean.
And Okendo wisely, getting back without wasting any time.
You know, Kendo had to put the brakes on when he got about 2/3 of the way to third base. Bucky Dent, third base coach, putting a stop sign up for him. Get back.
Ozzie Smith tonight is 1 for 3. He has an infield base hit. He's grounded into a double play and robbed of a base hit on a good play by Bonilla at third, and he takes a strike. Ozzie hitting .305. There's Bucky Dent. In the dirt. It's 1-1.
One of Joe Torre's choices to come over, and even though Bucky Dent didn't have any experience in the National League, his time as a former Yankee manager, a manager in the Yankees minor league system, and a very successful minor league career as a manager, he wanted the aggressiveness of a Bucky Dent, not only to help with infielders, but to help with the base runners, too.
Ozzie hits it high in the air to right field. Mitch Webster back, has room, and on the track puts it away. Some deep shots hit by the St. Louis Cardinals in the 7th, but no runs in. Rivalry between the Pirates and the Cardinals occurred here in 1971. Hall of Famer Bob Gibson threw his only no-hitter. It was, in fact, the last time the Pirates were held hitless. Gibson's teammate that year, current Cardinal manager Joe Torre, named the league's MVP, batting .363. And there's Rojo. Red Shaindish was the manager of that ball club that year, still in a Cardinal uniform. Former great second baseman for the Cardinals. I don't know if Rojo would know what to do if he didn't come to the ballpark and put on that uniform. He's been doing it for his entire life. Well, Juan Augusto is the new pitcher for the Cardinals, the 4th of the evening for St. Louis. And Jay Bell takes a strike at the knee.
Joe Torre running out the left-handers. Augusto, a free agent signing. The Cardinals losing Ken Daly, free agency, to Toronto Blue Jays. They wanted to get this durable lefty. Augusto's been in a lot of ball games over the last 3 seasons.
He was the left-hander out of the bullpen for the Houston Astros for a while. Jay Bell, 0 for 2 plus a walk. High fly ball into left center. Langford, 1 away, and John Saunders.
Budweiser takes us to New York at Shea Stadium. Dwight Gooden at the plate, and Chuck McElroy brushes him back. Now, umpire Steve Ripley comes out and warns both benches. Joe Altobelli, the manager of the Cubs, on an interim basis for Don Zimmer, who was just fired today, gets himself tossed from the game for arguing. Still going. Back to Steve and Tommy.
8-6 there and 5-3 here. We're in the bottom of the 7th, and Andy Van Slyke the hitter.
I wonder who took over the club. The interim manager.
They're running right down the ranks. That might be Chuck Cottier. Strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Van Slyke with an RBI single in the 5th inning is 1 for 3. Breaking ball that caught the home plate umpire, Bob Davidson, square in the mask.
Say, Davidson right now talking to Tom Pagnozzi, saying, hey, Pag, you've got to make that catch.
Mix in a catch once in a while.
That's what things like. Watch this.
Boing. Check your fillings there, Bobby.
Davidson saying to Pag, now come on, you're going to be a little quicker on that ball. Go out and talk to your pitcher. Tell him he crossed you up. He crossed us up.
It's like laughing. He's going out there because Davidson told him to go out and give me some time to get my jaw back in alignment. Ah, whammo. I'll tell you what, really, when you're not expecting it, too. I mean, you know, it's like Pagnozzi put the glove up but didn't catch it.
Gave him a good screen, though,
Yeah,
did he?
yeah, he probably didn't see it for a second, and he wasn't braced. expecting it. He got whacked. And a whack right there from Van Slyke, but right there also is Felix Jose. And Slyke hitting it well and making it out.
Yeah, that's another example of why Van Slyke has struggled, and it was what he was telling me before the game. First time up, he hit the hard shot back to the mound, back to Jamie Moyer. And he struck out. Then he got the base hit on a ball he didn't hit that hard. So really, he's hit 2 balls hard. The base hit was hit off the hand. And he's 1 for 4 instead of maybe 3 for 4.
Right. That's the way it goes when you're not going well. Bonilla off the end of the bat for a strike. He's 1 for 3 with a single to left in the third, and he scored a run.
Yeah, we talked about Augusto and all of his appearances. Over the last 3 years, he's made more appearances than any pitcher in the major league. Coming into this year, 228 appearances, all with the Astros over the last 3 years.
Foul back, 1 and 2. You talk about another guy who keeps his attitude right no matter how he's going, and that's Bobby Bonilla. Always with a smile. Grounded through the hole, but right there is the Wizard. He'll one-hop it over there and get Bonilla. Again, playing him perfectly. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for the Pirates here in the 7th. They still hold a 2-run lead, however, as we watch Ozzie on the way out. We're going to the 8th here in Pittsburgh, and the Pirates are holding on to their 2-run lead. For the Cardinals, Bernard Gilkey leads it on. And Palacios high with ball 1. Gilkey tonight 1 for 3 and a double in the 4th. And ball 2. Cardinals had the tying runs aboard in the 7th inning. In fact, got a runner or 2 runners in scoring position. They've had runners on every inning except the 3rd. Bill Landrum now warming for the Pirates.
Well, the Pirates and the Cardinals had an off day yesterday, so a lot of strength down in the bullpen on fresh arms.
And the fastball inside makes it ball 4, and Gilkey aboard to lead off the 8th. Second walk issued by Palacios. And we'll check out the storyline on the game tonight. The 2 home runs by Bonds, one of them a 2-run homer. Really the difference in the ball game as he hit them in consecutive innings earlier tonight after struggling without an extra base hit here at home. John Smiley with a good pitching performance. And hence the 2-run Pirate lead here in the 8th. Guerrero tonight is 0 for 3. He has struck out, fly deep to right center, and grounded to short. Cardinals have actually out-hit the Pirates 9-8.
Say, sometimes you like to match up some interesting statistics. The Pirates, when leading in the 8th inning, are 21-0. On the other hand, the Cardinals, the first 24 games they played this year, came from behind after trailing the 8th 3 times. They only did it twice all last year.
Grounded to 3rd. Bonilla goes to Lean Doritas. And the second Pirate double play takes care of the leadoff walk.
Defense, defense, defense. It'll get you out of a lot of jams. Even though that throw was a little low for Lean, he knew that he had time. Guerrero going up the line. So he just stepped back, made the pivot, took his time, didn't need to rush it.
Felix Jose tonight, a cool 3 for 3 with a single in the 2nd inning, a double, and a run scored in the 5th, and an infield base hit in the 6th. Appropriately, the organ with a rendition of the Felix the Cat cartoon theme. This guy, anything but a cartoon. He is real.
someday he's going to be in an outfield with Junior Felix.
And Jose Canseco, where we used to be. I'd like to see that. Junior Felix, Felix Jose, and Jose Canseco all in the same outfield. That's an announcer's nightmare. Ball goes up. Jose's got it. Because somebody named Jose is going to get it. There's the 4th hit of the night for Gato Jose. And he's aboard with 2 out. Now comes our favorite time of the evening when we remind you that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball. And it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball.
Talk about some big double plays in the 4th inning after a leadoff single. The Pirates turned that 6-4-3 double play. Gilkey doubled after that. Just saw the 5-4-3 double play and then a base hit after that. So some key double plays for the Pirates tonight.
And Palacios will lead the game with Jose at first and 2 out. And Todd Zeile, the right-handed hitter, coming up. We'll be back.
ESPN Major League Baseball is brought to you by Budget Rent-A-Car. The smart money is on budget. By Thompson's House and Deck Stain. Seal water out, seal color in. And by Black & Decker Groom & Edge, the trimmer with a competitive edge.
Bill Landrum, the new pitcher for the Pirates. He is 5 for 5 in save opportunities, and he's in one now. His 17th appearance and a sparkling ERA of less than 1. 13 Ks and only 3 walks. And Todd Zeile, the hitter, who is 0 for 3 tonight. His average has dropped to .314. Working on a 5-game hitting streak, which is in jeopardy. Batting with 2 out and Felix Jose at first, and he represents the tying run. Fastball foul back. Just out of Tommy Hutton's reach. Montreal leading Philadelphia 3-0. That is a final score.
Bill Landrum has been one of those players that you could call a late bloomer. He's 32 years old, but over the last 2 or 3 seasons, he has really been a steady pitcher out of the bullpen for Pittsburgh.
And he steps off as Felix Jose had a pretty good lead. He had 1 foot on the carpet. And when Landrum stepped off, he moved back toward the bag.
Landrum had 26 saves in '89, came back at 13 last year.
Fastball for a strike, and it's 0-2. There goes Felix Jose, but a swing and a miss ends the inning. As Zeile strikes out, Landrum comes in to close it down in the 8th inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th with a
30-30 man last year, but he's been struggling this season for the Braves. But he's the hero tonight. 1-1 in the 9th, 2 aboard, facing Steve Rosenberg. And Gant ends the game in a hurry. Lifts the high pitch out to left field. The 3-run home run ends it. 4-1. Gant is 6th of the year. Back to you.
Thank you, John. Gant has been coming on in the power department, even though not with his batting average. And Barry Bonds similar. His average still under the Mendoza line, but he's 2 for 2 tonight with 2 home runs. And he's hit for the 2nd time, and Augusto is in big trouble. Bob Davidson warning him and both dugouts, and Joe Torre will come out. Bonds hit for the 2nd time after hitting 2 home runs.
Well, we talked about it in the 5th inning. The pitch that hit Bonds by Tim Sherrill was a breaking ball, but that pitch by Augusto was a good hard fastball running inside. It had a purpose to it. And a good call, I think, by Bob Davidson after what has happened recently with the incident in Chicago between the Blue Jays and White Sox. To just try to stop things. He doesn't want anything to get out of hand.
You know, you can say a lot about the rule as it now exists, but I think overall, it's not a good rule.
And here's his fastball. Runs it inside, just above the elbow. Berry was able to move and take it going away instead of coming in at it and taking it blunt on that elbow. Not that it doesn't hurt when you take it going away, but not as serious.
I think the rule was better when it was sort of left in the hands of the people on the field, though, and it didn't put as much pressure as it does now on the umpires. And on top of that, a guy knows that he can throw if he's the first guy to do it. He can go ahead and plunk somebody, and he's not going to get thrown out of the game, and then there's no retaliation allowed after a warning like Bob Davidson just gave.
Well, it really puts pressure on the opposing pitcher.
Right.
Because now if he wants to work a hitter inside, if he misses inside, hits somebody, he's out of the game, so's the manager.
And that would solely be at the discretion of the umpire's judgment, whether he was in fact throwing at the plate. On the inside corner to Webster. 0-2.
You know, when you think about it, it's amazing they don't keep a statistic on this, but when you think about it, years ago there were probably less brawls, fewer number of brawls.
I think there were.
Than before that retaliation rule was put into effect.
Now guys feel like they have to fight because their pitcher can't stick up for them. Before, when you knew that you might get flipped, especially in the National League where the pitchers have to bat, and they would have to be concerned about that, it kept that incident down. Now I think there's more deliberate hitting, and I think there's more fighting because it's the only alternative. Consequently, I don't like the rule.
I think you've made that point.
Yeah, thank you. But in final analysis, who cares, right? What I think about anything. 2-2, and a throw to first, and a close play, but the ball got away from Guerrero. Augusto throwing it into Bonds.
Well, it was a last-minute throw by Augusto because he saw Bonds taking off. Bonds was going to steal that time. And that's one way to retaliate if you have speed. And see, there's Berry getting ready to take off. Augusto saw that, and he hits him again. Look at Berry.
How many times do I have to be hit? That's the third time in the game. Oh, he's got him now. Guerrero will run him towards second. Did he tag him? No. Augusto running him down, and he tags him. So a 1-3-1 catches Barry Bonds. Boy, we've seen a lot of that tonight.
We've seen 4 base runners caught tonight. 3 of them with the pitcher picking them off, trying to go to second base. That time Bonds elected to. He was just frustrated. He didn't even want to try to run hard here. He gets picked off. He goes, oh, gee, I've already been hit twice. Now what can happen? He dodges out of the way of Guerrero. But Augusto gets involved, and that's the way you like to see that. The ball held up with not a lot of pump fakes. That's the way you're taught, to hold the ball up, show the infielder. And there's Berry just recuperating.
Well, he hasn't had a chance to see if he can hit 3 home runs in a game. He hit home runs in his first 2 at-bats, and then he's been hit his second 2 at-bats, both on that arm that he was just checking above the elbow. Webster down on strikes, and here's Don Slott, who's 1 for 3 with a double. And a swing at a bad pitch, fouled off for strike 1. 2 out, nobody on, bottom of the 8th inning, Pirates leading by 2.
You almost have to think Barry Bonds saying to himself, gee, I came into this game hitting 182. I hadn't been hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
Hit a couple of home runs. Look what happens. He has to feel good about it.
Yeah, there you go. A couple of things that didn't happen much have happened tonight, including the home run. A 1-2-3 inning, as it turns out. Bill Landrum working in the 9th inning, trying to pick up save number 6, and he gets a strike on Tom Pagnozzi to lead it off. Pagnozzi 1 for 3 tonight. That hit broke a 1 for 16 skid back in the 5th inning. One and one.
John Smiley, the pitcher of record, stands to win his 6th game.
On the ground to first. Reedus handles it all the way, 1 away. And a reminder, Tuesday night, doubleheader night here on ESPN, and so game 2 is coming up next. The White Sox in Anaheim to take on the California Angels. Wally Joyner on fire for the Angels. Of course, they just announced the signing of Fernando, who will be pitching at Palm Springs, getting ready to join the rotation for them, perhaps.
A couple of starts in the minor leagues. How about that rotation? Could have 4 left-handers: Abbott, Finley, Langston, possibly Valenzuela.
Jose Oquendo, the hitter. Jim Abbott, incidentally, scheduled to pitch tonight for California. Fernandez scheduled for the White Sox.
Youngster out of University of Miami. Good young pitcher, Alex Fernandez.
A strike at the knees. Oquendo thought it was low, but it's 1-1. Gerald Perry on deck as a pinch hitter, as a pitcher's spot is scheduled 3rd in the inning. Out of play, 1-2. Joe Torre has got the Cardinals running again, winning, playing some exciting baseball, but they're down by 2 runs in the 9th. Jim Leland is doing it despite a lot of offensive problems from key players.
You all heard a great line from former National League pitcher and now a broadcaster with the Pirates, Steve Blass, saying, you've heard the term used around baseball, they're doing it with mirrors. He said the Pirates actually have been. Because the pitching, we've talked about some of the starters, Draybeck 2-6, Bonds has been struggling up until tonight, but it's like if they've got those key base hits, and they've made the plays when they've counted.
They've found a way to win. On the ground to second. Leaned, glides over for out number 2. So 1 out left for the Cardinals, and it'll be Gerald Perry, the pinch hit. Perry last year with the Royals, of course, had many years in Atlanta. A native of Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and a nephew of one of the greats in Cincinnati Reds history. Perry hitting 120 is all, and he's 2 for 12 as a pinch hitter. He has struggled.
Gerald Perry also a good insurance policy, just in case anything's done with Pedro Guerrero at first base.
And a base hit up the middle. Didn't finish that thought. Ken Griffey is Dan Dreesen is his uncle. Danny Dreesen, former first baseman, as well. Perry came up as a first baseman. So a 2-out single, pinch hitting for Gerald Perry on the top of the order, and Ray Langford, as the Cardinals do what they wanted to do here in the 9th at the very least, and that's get that tying run to the plate.
You know, you have to like what you've seen so far from the Cardinals, the young talent they have on the field, some of the veterans, Bill Thompson, Gerald Perry, Rex Hudler, guys like that coming off the bench.
Well, Slot did a good job of trying to get the call, but it was a little high, ball 1.
I know Joe Torre likes what he's seen in this young ball club.
He managed, of course, the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. Most recently, a broadcaster for the California Angels. Slap to left field. Bonds right there, and the game is over. The Cardinals make it interesting, but the Pirates hold on to first place and get another game lead over the Cardinals. Well, don't forget to join us tomorrow evening at 7:30 Eastern, ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. Will Clark and the Giants visit Hal Morris and the Cincinnati Reds from Riverfront. For Tommy Hutton and our entire crew, this is Steve Zabriskie saying so long from Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Pirates have defeated the St. Louis Cardinals 5-3.